The ultimate goal of every fish farmer is to be successful in his fish farming journey. That is to make profit. And how do you do that? In this video, I'm going to show you 9 mistakes you must avoid if you want to be successful in your fish farm. If you avoid these mistakes, you will be successful. The first and foremost, you need to have the right setup when you are beginning as a fish farmer. Having the right setup is very important because the journey is not a small journey. If you have a weaker and inadequate setup, you will regret it in the future. Let me expatiate this. If I talk about having adequate or good setup, when you are starting your fish farm, you will need to set up your fish ponds. After you acquire your land and whatever, you will need to set up your fish pond. So setting up your fish pond, you need to make sure that you set up the right pond. If you are using the tarpaulin fish pond that you can see, make sure that the pond is free from leakages. Make sure that the frame that will support the tarpaulin to stand is stronger and will not break down soon. Make sure that the ground that you are going to put it on is not made of wood that can easily break down, or it is very leveled and well structured. And avoid waterlogged area. Whatever setup that you are setting up, tarpaulin, earthing, whichever, avoid waterlogged area. If you're also using the concrete fish pond, one of the common problems in concrete fish pond is leakages. So make sure that your concrete fish pond is also void from leakages. And when you construct it as new, make sure you treat it and cure it very well. And make sure that all the chemicals from the cement and other building materials are gone. And it is safe for the fish before stocking your fish. If you don't do that, you are likely to lose your fish because of the chemicals. I've had a friend who lost thousands of fish because he could not cure the concrete pond very well before stocking them. So make sure if you're using the concrete pond, you cure it very well. If you also use the plastic, like I said, whichever setup that you are setting up, make sure you have a proper setup. Otherwise, you have problems in future. Another farming mistake you have to avoid is good source of water. Having the wrong source of water or water quality is a mistake you must avoid as a beginner or as a fish farmer. So make sure that your source of water is very, very accurate and conducive for fish. Make sure that the parameters, if I talk about the parameters, I mean the nitrogen level, the pH level, the oxygen, and all that is required for fish to thrive in. Make sure that all these parameters are accurate in your water before using that source of water for your pond or your fish. That's why you must consider the natural water systems. It could be underground water such as borehole or well. It could be river, dam, whichever. And like I always say, if you are going to use the metropolitan ensemble source, that the tap water popularly called, make sure that it is treated properly before you stock or you are using that water. Another mistake you must avoid is stocking the wrong fingerlings. You must be wondering why all fingerlings are fingerlings. Yes, all fingerlings are fingerlings, but they are never the same. The species varied. For instance, we have catfish, and catfish has a lot of breeds, different types. There are others that grow very well, others do not. There are others that are stronger and have strong immune system which fight diseases, and there are others their immune system is weak. There are others that live well in cold areas, while others live well in hot areas. All these are factors you need to consider when sourcing your fingerling. So make sure that in as much as you are sourcing your fingerlings, you buy your fingerlings from a trusted source, a proven source, and make research very well to be sure that the fingerling that you are buying is actually conducive and good for your fish farm. In that case, you are going to have the fish grow successful, your mortality will be less, the growth rate will be higher, and everything. And at the end of the day, you are going to make profit. The fourth reason have to do with infrequent water changes. I mentioned earlier that you have to have a good source of water. Yes, this one is different. After having the good source of water and you stock your fish, you need to frequently change the water in the pond. Most especially if you are not using the recirculated aquatic system, which filters and allow you to use that same water. I will leave a link of a video of the recirculated aquatic system in the description. But if you are not running that system and you are not using aeration system, that means that at most you have to change the water at most a week. Some could change 3 days, 4 days, but at most a week. And by that time, you will also see that the water is smelling and thick and dirty. So the frequent change of the water will enhance the growth of your fish and the health of your fish. So make sure that if you are not running these systems, that's recycled aqua system or aeration system, and you're just using manual, make sure you always change the water frequently. If you don't change, it's a mistake. And your fish, if they do not die, but they will not grow well. So avoid using that same water for longer period. Another mistake you have to avoid, which is the fifth one, is inaccurate record keeping or not keeping record at all. Keeping record in your fish farm is very important because it always help you to make future decisions. When you stock your fish and you keep them from stocking of the fingerlings to the harvesting, and you have all the records down. If I say records, we talk about the mortality, the feeding, everything that you need to write down. Keep it down so that when you have that record, at the end of the harvest, you can always make reference to the record. So when you stock new fingerlings or you are stocking, you know my previous record or my previous stocking, this is my experience. I had this number of challenges. I have this number of successes. How do I avoid the challenges? How do you duplicate the success? But if you don't have set records, it will be difficult to reflect back to that such document. And also in future, when you need to refer back, either by auditing or whatever purposes, and you don't have record, it's going to be difficult. So it is a mistake not to keep records of your fish farm. So make sure you do so to avoid that mistake. The sixth mistake you have to avoid is feeding mistake. Feeding mistakes is a lot of challenging to not only beginners but even experienced or seasoned fish farmers. Many people are feeding their fish wrongly by just throwing the fish into the fish pond with the name of measured. And mind you, not all that the time that fish have the same appetite. So if your fish, for instance, are taking 2 kilograms of fish feed at a time, there are times that they will not take up to that. So if you just measure your 2 kilograms and come and pour in, and unfortunately at that time they don't have that appetite, and they leave the feed floating or the feed in the pond, it's going to decompose and dissolve into the fish pond, introducing higher ammonia and reducing the oxygen, which will lead to diseases and even mortality. So make sure that you do the right feeding by introducing what we call responsive feeding method. Throw the feed at a time and see how they respond to it. If they take more, you give them more. And when you realize that they are okay, then you leave them. So make sure that you feed your fish accurately and even the right feed. Sometimes you may also give them the wrong feed. the feed that do not contain all the required nutrients for them to grow. That is also feeding mistake. So make sure that you give them the right feed and at the right time and at the right quantity, and you shall have a successful fish. So make sure to avoid feeding mistakes. I've had a video on that. I will leave also in the description for you to check it out. And please, if you found value so far, before we move to the last three, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification button, and always when we post a video, you will see it, because this channel is all about sharing fish farming tips. The seventh mistake you have to avoid is failing to sort your fish. Sorting your fish has to do with separating the fish into the pond. Sorting your fish has to do with separating fish of the same size or color or species or whichever measure or whichever scale or whichever way that you want to sort them into one pond. For instance, when you stock catfish, their growth rate is not the same. You keep them to several months and you realize that whilst others are bigger, others are still smaller. And the consequences are that cannibalism is going to be high, and then feed ratio is also going to be inadequate or inappropriate, because the bigger fish will always consume more of the feed, leaving the smaller fish. So you will not have uniform fish. So the best thing to do is to sort them. Have the smaller fish in a pond and the bigger fish in another pond to avoid cannibalism and other related issues. So make sure that you frequently sort your fish. Not sorting your fish is a mistake you have to avoid to make more profit. And the eighth point or eighth mistake you have to avoid is wrong stocking or inappropriate stocking of your fish. If I say inappropriate, I am more particular about overstocking your fish or overcrowding your fish. All are the same. When you overcrowd or overstock your fish, it means that you put fish more than the capacity of the pond in the fish pond. So in that case, there's competition for resources such as feed, oxygen, and other things that is required by the fish. So when you overstock them, because of that competition, the growth of the fish will not be uniform, or they will not even grow well, and then some of the fish will eat and some will not eat while you are feeding them. So make sure that you do not overstock your fish. And if you don't overstock them, they will grow well and you are going to make more profit. And if you also understock them, meaning you stock them very lesser than the capacity of the pond, you're also leaving so much money on the table, because you could have harvested more fish than you are harvesting. And if you also stock more, it's also dangerous. So you need to make sure that you start the difference. Make sure that you have a balance. You do not overstock and you do not understock. So make sure you stock your fish right way. The ninth and last mistake you have to avoid is providing security measures or practices. Security at your fish farm is very, very important, because one, if you don't provide security, predators are going to consume your fish. Predators are living organisms that feed on fish, and it's very rampant. I have a video on that. You can check that one out too in the channel. If you also don't provide security, thieves are going to steal your fish. In fact, I know a friend who stocked fish. Unfortunately, the fish was stolen by thieves. So make sure you provide enough security. If it means fencing your fish farm, either with a wall or wire or whatever that will use to protect your fish from access to everyone or anything, do that. Protect them from predators by providing nets and other fences, so that organisms that feed on fish will not have access to them. So if you do not do this, you are also going to lose your fish. So please, these are the 9 mistakes you need to avoid to be successful in your fish farm, and I've also provided the solutions to them. And I'm hoping that you have found value in the video If you do, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share. And if you have a question, don't forget to put it in the description and let's interact. My name is Abdulaziz Issa. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.